I think we lose in our characterizations of Odysseus is that in source material, this is the man you want on your side, because if he is not on your side, he is so crafty that it's scary. And nobody describes this side of Odysseus better than other Greeks. The nobody thing was unintentional. One of Odysseus's biggest haters on the Greek side is Ajax, because they went head to head for Achilles' armor after Achilles died. It was going to go to the best of the Greeks, and so they had a little debate thing going on where they said why they were the best choice for it. Ajax calls Odysseus out on a few things in his side of the debate. First of which being he's a draft dodger. The man came up with this plan to make himself look insane, and the only reason they were able to see that he was actually not insane is because they literally put his infant son in front of the plow that he was using to ruin his own land to try to get out of going to a war because of an oath that he thought up of in the first place. Another thing that Ajax calls Odysseus out on is the fact that in their camp setup, Odysseus is parked in the middle. His ships are in the middle. And Ajax believes that this is because Odysseus is a coward. He doesn't want his ships attacked first. And so he's in the middle so that he's not directly in danger should the Trojans storm their camp. Now, Odysseus does have a rebuttal to this, which is, no, I'm in the middle because I want to strategize with everybody. But I think it's both, knowing Odysseus. I think he doesn't want to be the first to be attacked, but he also does want to be a part of the strategy. And so both are a little correct here. Another thing that Ajax calls him out on is, if you're such a great soldier, if you are the best of the Greeks, why did you never go head to head with Hector? And the thing is, when Ajax went head to head with Hector in, I believe, book 7 of the Iliad, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but when they went head to head, there were a few people who put their name in there, one of them being Odysseus, and they drew lots to decide who was going to fight Hector. Now, the way they drew lots was that they marked a stone and put it in Agamemnon's helmet, and then he chose. Now, this is just my theory, but do we really think that Odysseus didn't rig that somehow? I would believe he somehow either chose a stone that wouldn't get picked first, or maybe didn't even put his own name. That's just my thought, though. When Odysseus gives his rebuttal to Ajax for the armor, he brings up the fact that they have wrestled each other and that they were pretty evenly matched. Achilles ended up stopping this wrestling match and calling it a draw because he was afraid they would take each other out. But if you read the details, the one point in the wrestling match where Odysseus gets the upper hand, it says he never misses a chance to trick, and so he got behind Ajax's knee and took out his knee in order to get him down to the ground and get on top of him. I don't know the rules of wrestling back then, but it feels like if this was a wrestling match with guidelines, that would not be a legal move. Another one of Odysseus's biggest haters on the Greek side is Philoctetes, who he left behind on the way to Troy because Philoctetes got bitten by a snake. And his wound started festering. He was crying out in pain all the time. He was a big nuisance to everybody, and so Odysseus comes up with this plan, let's just leave him behind while he's sleeping. Now, years later, after the death of Achilles, after a lot of people have gone, they find out they need Philoctetes to win the war. And so Odysseus has to come up with this plan to take Achilles' son Neoptolemus to go convince him to come back, knowing that he doesn't know who Neoptolemus was. Neoptolemus wasn't involved with leaving him behind, so he's the most likely to persuade him. And he has to tell this young man, who doesn't really want to do it, to trick him in order to come with him. Neoptolemus at one point gets possession of Philoctetes' bow while Philoctetes is taking a nap, and he tries to use that to persuade him. He's like, look, I have your bow, I'll give it back, you just need to come with us. But Philoctetes still doesn't want to do it. Eventually, Odysseus steps in, and he's like, we gotta take you with us. But of course, Philoctetes doesn't want to go with him either. And so Odysseus thinks at this point, well, we have the bow, let's just leave him behind again. And the bow being the only thing that kept that man alive on that island for all of those years. I have one more little story to add to this collection, and this is when Telemachus eventually goes and visits Helen and Menelaus in Sparta to try to get news of his father. Helen tells this story of this one time when Odysseus snuck into Troy. Do you know how he did it? He beat himself up. And then he dressed himself in rags and pretended to be a beggar. He did this in order to spy and take out some Trojans and then leave. The man was willing to hurt himself in order to further their cause. He is so crafty, it's dangerous, okay?